Sin City. Saturday night. Fight night. Any given weekend, this place is the entertainment capital of the world. When combat sports shines brightest on the Las Vegas Strip. Boxing and mixed martial arts need some new voices. And Franchise Sports Media's got them for you. Join Kalani and Griffin Kemp each week as they bring you news and hot takes from inside the octagon and the ring. Get your popcorn ready. It's showtime. FSM's main event starts right now.
Thank you guys for tuning in to another edition of the main event right here on Franchise Sports Media. I'm Kalani Lure.
I'm Griffin Kemp.
Griff, we are back yet again. We just had a fight named Paris. Now, we are going down under, mate, to see a middleweight class for the title. But before we get into that, let's just recap really quick. UFC Paris, Ciryl Gane. Well, I tell you, when he goes over and had those pastries, he's a different animal. What did you think of the heavyweight bounce-back victory?
It was nice for him. Ciryl Gane, he definitely needed it, especially after that debacle that was the fight with him and John Jones.
Who?
John Jones.
Who?
John Jones.
Thank you.
Ciryl Gane needed to bounce back in a big way, and this fight with Ciryl Gane in his home country of France, it just made me think a lot of the heavyweight division and kind of the state it's in right now. And honestly, I think the heavyweight division is one of those situations where the division itself is going to get very exciting really quickly. We got guys like Sergey Pavlovich, Tom Aspinall, obviously Ciryl Gane, with John Jones and Stipe. John Jones.
Who?
John Jones.
Thank you.
And Stipe Miocic. I mean, those two, it's kind of a weird situation with them being older guys, but this whole division is getting really exciting really soon. And I'm excited, especially with Ciryl Gane. I'm excited what his next fight is going to be. It's going to determine a lot of things for the future going down. But overall, Ciryl Gane, congratulations. You got the victory. Now, let's just see you do it against somebody who's in that top ranking, all right?
Listen, it's one of those things where I understand sometimes you just have a bad night. Sometimes things just don't go your way. But it also kind of shows you that as good as everybody is, when you step in the ring against a certain GOAT, you all got short arms when you're boxing with a guy. No disrespect, but Ciryl Gane went in there and looked phenomenal. Wait, look, from a physical standpoint, he passes the eye test.
He always looks good.
Football. When he walks off the bus, who's that?
Yeah.
But then when he's in there, the bell rings, the crowd is behind him. He looks good. He moves like a middleweight, bounces on the feet, tremendous power, good speed, nice mix of everything. What I was impressed with his takedown defense.
Yep.
You know, with him being such a stand-up kickboxing world champion, now he's going to the UFC. A couple times he's been exposed in the grappling department. Francis Ngannou, John Jones, but you look at the fact that in this one, he said, nope, let me go ahead and do what guys like Israel Adesanya has done and others who have a striking background and improve my takedown defense. Ciryl Gane with takedown defense and his stand-up ability,
He needed it. All right. Yeah, that's great that he's so fast and his striking is phenomenal. But that John Jones fight, like you said, Francis and John Jones both exposed him badly. And I don't even just think it was John Jones and Francis Ngannou specifically that did that. It had to be those guys. I think if he had fought in like a Tom Aspinall before John Jones, Tom Aspinall being, really a really great, well-rounded fighter, he needed to improve that takedown defense. Ciryl Gane, especially John Jones, he really showed Ciryl Gane he is not there yet. You can be a great striker, but in the game of the UFC today, you can't be good at just one thing. You need to be well-rounded all around. And as for John Jones,
listen, you've said it.
I got an opinion on something.
You've said it 6 times. I'm not going to do 18 times. I'm just going to ask you one time. Who?
John Jones. Okay. Listen, this is what's interesting too. All right. With John Jones, we know what's next for John Jones. We know what's next for him is Stipe Miocic. Here's my thing. With John Jones, he's had one fight, and that was Ciryl Gane at heavyweight. That was Ciryl Gane to get the heavyweight title. And now he's going to fight Stipe, and there's a lot of talks. I think even he has come out and said that this could potentially be his final fight. And that's very disappointing. That is very disappointing. Why can't John Jones? He's proven he has nothing to prove.
Don't spend too much time on John because we got to talk about other fighters currently now.
I know.
Spend too much time on the GOAT. There's only one other. Look, if he beats Stipe, there's only one other fight left for him to do.
If you think, saying who I think you're saying,
the former UFC champion, the former WWE World Heavyweight Champion, the former NCAA Division I champion, Brock Lesnar.
Dana White came out at
300.
No. That dream is dead. That dream is dead.
I won't sleep at all that week. I'll be up the whole time.
Dana White has come out and said that dream is dead. Brock is too damn old.
Hey, look. All I'm saying is, if you look at Brock in the WWE and you tell USADA to look the other way real quick, we're going to have ourselves a party. But Ciryl Gane, as you were saying, it does make the heavyweight division very interesting to see this new wave of heavyweight coming in. Every division that starts to look like, remember not too long ago, me and you were talking about, where's the light heavyweight division at? These champions are rotating, guys aren't. Now you're starting to look at him like, oh, wait a minute. Yes, injuries are a factor. But if you just look at health-wise, Alex Pereira, Jamal Hill,
Yuri Prochazka,
Jan Blachowicz, and you start moving down, like, wait a minute. There's some guys in here who, if healthy, you look at any potential heavyweight that might move down, middleweight that might move up. Wait a minute, now we're looking good. You look at the heavyweight division, and you're like, okay, we know who's at the top. And we've seen some of the guys like Derek Lewis, like Ciryl Gane, fall against the top competition on the big stage. But then you look at these young guys like Tom Aspinall, who everyone is saying might be the one to dethrone the GOAT, as everyone else was, but they all failed. But nonetheless, it's like, wait a minute, we got some really good competition throughout the division. What's next for Ciryl Gane? I won't say heavyweight title match. No. I don't know if I want to put him against Tom Aspinall just yet. I think that would be a phenomenal matchup. But to me, Ciryl Gane has had 2 chances at the heavyweight title. Tom Aspinall has not had one yet. I thoroughly believe Aspinall should be in line, potentially, to go ahead and say, hey, the winner of Jones-Miocic, if Jones wins and it's his last bout, it might be the same for Miocic. If they both retire, I should be in the main event with whoever's chosen to stand across from me for the vacant heavyweight title. We'll see how it goes there. We'll see. But nonetheless, and I'll wrap this up on the heavyweight part from my end, I love when the UFC brings home the hometown hero.
Yep.
Because these guys and girls are stars. But when they're at home, they're folklores. They're legends. There's a statue of them outside. You know, it's not. It feels like that. Yep. And to see Ciryl Gane come out there, it reminds you, this guy has what it takes to be a true star. If he could just fine-tune himself for the big fights, unlike he did against Ngannou and Jones, this guy could potentially be one of the biggest stars in the UFC around the world.
I agree with that. That's not a wrong statement. I think there's nobody else next for Ciryl Gane than Tom Aspinall. It was after that UFC fight night in the post-fight interview, Michael Bisping pointed out that Tom Aspinall was in the crowd that during the fight, and Ciryl Gane, you know, they were saying that the fight between those two is definitely has the potential to be a number 1 contenders fight, and the winner of that could potentially go on to either fight Jon Jones or Stipe Miocic or fight for the vacant title. I think that he needs to fight Tom Aspinall. There is no other choice. He's still elite. He's elite. He's the top of this division. There's no more, you know, you've had 2 shots of the title. You got this bounce back win. If you want to still ride this wave, if you still want a chance to be a champion anytime soon, you got to face the best of the best. And I think him and Tom Aspinall would really set the tone for the entire division. It would really set the pecking order of who's really on top, who's really ready to go for gold. I want to see it.
So you just going to ignore my very spot on analysis of, Ciryl, you've already had 2 chances. You lost both of them. Badly. Tom Aspinall has not, simply because he was injured. Now that he's back and on the rise, no. Because again, I understand, well, if Tom Aspinall's better, anything can happen in the fight. Leg kick that hits the knee and it goes wrong. You kick and he blocks it, you break your shin. A cut above the eye. Anything can go wrong. Injured in training camp. Anything. You know this, Griff. And it could go the other way. But why waste it on that? Just like me and you have talked about before with certain matchups. Okay, but I've beaten this guy twice. Well, Ciryl Gane's lost twice at the heavyweight title shot. So why give him the platform to be in line for another one? I think before Tom Aspinall, he should have to fight somebody else within the heavyweight division. Prove that, hey, man, this wasn't just a hometown. The other guy was nervous. You got certain juices when you hear the croissants and the butter.
Croissants.
What else is... Well, French is apparently known for great food. Is it really though?
Is it really though?
Is it really though?
I don't think so.
I think it's very overrated.
Yes.
Just because you could have a patois on the end of it doesn't mean it's good.
Beautiful
but that's
take.
a whole nother story, okay?
Yes, sir. Yes,
but
sir.
at the same time, I think Ciryl Gane, as good as he is, his shortcomings have been too much to say, oh, one bounce back in your backyard deserves you to be in a number one contender spot. I think he needs to work his way back there.
Well, keep in mind, he really has only lost 2 fights in his entire career. John Jones and Francis Ngannou.
But those losses were dominant losses, Griff. Like imagine, okay. Imagine being in the NFL, right? You make it to the postseason. You get booted in the first round. First game, 35-7. Next one, 42-3. That's looking like Bama versus Mercer.
Yeah,
that's not
little
good.
bit.
Or Duke and Clemson. All I'm saying is it does not look good.
It don't look good.
So yes, okay, cool. We are good during the regular season. But I'm not good when I take on the elite in the playoffs or in the championship game or in a major bowl game. So you don't necessarily get to another chance out there because you bounced back and had a good showing in your backyard.
Well, keep in mind, too, Tom Aspinall needs his shot. Guys like him and also Sergey Pavlovich, who Sergey Pavlovich might be the scariest man on the UFC roster.
That dude look like he got some bodies.
That big old Russian should not be able to move the way he does.
No,
Good Lord.
I really think he might have got some bodies on him back in the day.
He might.
There might be some bodies buried somewhere thanks to him. But
Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. I think the UFC wants to set up Tom Aspinall in a way where he has an opportunity to say, to get in there, to get his first title shot. And what better way than to face the guy who's been good enough to get 2 title shots, even though he's lost both. Set it up with him and Ciryl Gane. I mean, the only other guy is Sergey, and Sergey, I think he's like ranked number 1 right now.
And Sergey
in the heavyweight
is the
division.
backup heavyweight.
He is the backup, right?
For Jones and Miocic.
Yeah.
He is the backup heavyweight. So if anything was to happen, and even tomfoolery, Sergey step on stage.
I love that. And I mean, Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich is a beautiful fight, but I think you save that one. I think you save it. I think you say, Tom, you're going to fight Ciryl Gane. Whoever wins this is going to get a title shot afterwards, and then whoever wins that belt, the very next title shot is going straight to Sergey.
Wrap it up on this one because we got to get to the co-main event. But I think, depending on how the main event goes between Jones and Miocic, whoever wins, whatever they plan to do afterwards, if let's just say Jones wins, retires, Sergey Aspinall vacant UFC heavyweight title shot.
Ooh, that's got to be like a Madison Square Garden at the end of the year card. That's got to be.
And do you really want to put it off for a year? I mean, you could put that International Fight Week. Given that they're both international fighters, you can go ahead and put them in the April or May card. We know the UFC likes to put a big one on at the end of the first quarter of the year. Then you got your January card. February is hit or miss with that, but they like to do one in April or May. That's a big one. Yep. I think that's what they should do for that one. We'll see what they decide to do, but a great showing by Ciryl Gane. Yep. Talking about great showings, another Frenchie went out there and put on a tremendous showing. And help me with this, man.
Let me see.
Manin Fiorot?
Oh, that's Manin Fiore. Fiore. That's a French way of saying it.
Well, when you say it like France, it's from Batal. But you see, I said better, but I said Batal.
Batal, yeah. It's clever.
It's like remember, family members. It's Luné. It's French.
Well played.
Yeah, I know you didn't watch it because that wasn't a good enough show for you, and you're too young for that. But she defeats Rose Namajunas, former champion Thug Rose, by unanimous decision in a terrific showing. 11-1, has not lost since her first MMA fight. 11 in a row, 6-0 in the UFC. Looking mighty good there, if I must say.
Pretty damn good.
What do you say about her showing against a former champion moving up?
It's hard to gauge these type of fights, these type of wins when somebody's fighting a legend, but they were a legend in a different weight class. It's especially with this being Rose's first weight class or first fight at what is it? I believe it's flyweight, right? She moved.
Flyweight, yes. She moved up.
She moved up to flyweight. Rose, especially when a fighter moves up in weight to go up to the division, I feel like that kind of takes away from their power or from the ability or what made them special in the lower level or lower weight division. It kind of takes it away a little bit. Look at Conor when he fought at featherweight compared to lightweight. It's like when he made that move to lightweight, he was still phenomenal, but it almost seemed like his power wasn't quite there, especially when he fought Nate at welterweight. The power wasn't quite what it was at featherweight. So I think where Rose, she unfortunately has run into Fiore, and she just so happened to be part of this woman's journey to becoming a very dominant potential contender for the belt in this weight class. I feel horrible for Rose. I love me some Thug Rose. How do you not? But this is starting to look a little bit like we might be coming towards the end of her career.
I like of all the fighters that have moved up in divisions, you had to pick one in particular.
Hey man, everyone says I'm the Conor nut hugger, but I'm just trying to be unbiased. I'm just trying to show facts.
Okay.
Trying to be,
So you say you're just trying to show facts and not being a Conor nut hugger. Who did you pick as your example of who moved up? Conor McGregor.
He moved up.
Nuts hell, baby.
Moved up.
Look, it's funny because you said that. I was just like, okay, well, if you want to go that route, you look at when Anthony Pettis tried moving weight classes.
Yeah.
You look at when Nate Diaz has moved weight classes. You looked at when Oliveira has moved weight classes. You look at when Israel Adesanya has moved weight classes. It's tough. It's tough moving upward. Max Holloway, when he tried 155.
Oh, yeah.
It's tough when you move up because, yes, you are taking on naturally bigger and stronger opponents. Very quickly. Just hold on. I don't want to lose my train of thought here. Anyone ever wonder why Manny Pacquiao was able to move up 8 different divisions and somehow taking on guys who are naturally bigger and stronger than him, he always was faster and stronger than them? All I'm saying is Mayweather may have not been too far off by saying we need to make sure we take a drug test. But nonetheless, if I get back to Fiorot.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Fiorot. You got to put the pinky in there too and make it fancy.
Sir.
She has looked phenomenal. It's one of those where you say, Rose, we're putting you in here against a juggernaut. She's 5-0 at the time. You're a former champion. It's a brand new division. It's a little tough. I love that UFC doesn't necessarily cater to fighters. Like, hey, there's no easy fights here. But sometimes I'm also like, yeah, but if it's a brand new division, should I not take on necessarily the top contender? Should I maybe take on someone in the middle just so I can get my bearings? Remember when they brought up Miracle Crocop to the UFC? They put him against Eddie Sanchez at first. Now, where he messed up at, he didn't like how he looked in that one, so he took on another one, which unfortunately gave us one of the greatest highlights and upsets of all time against Gabriel Gonzaga, knocking him out with a head kick. He was supposed to fight Randy Couture after that, but he wanted another fight. But it's almost one of those where it's like, yeah, don't give me, if I'm not the champion coming here, or I didn't just lose my title, don't necessarily put me in there against the top guy or top female fighter, because I got to gain my bearings here. I got to see, okay, did I put the weight on correctly? Did I train accordingly and cut down right for this? Yeah, I made weight, but did I do it right? Just like we said with Max Holloway. He looked like a completely different fighter when he took on Dustin Poirier at 155. They looked like they were 2 divisions apart. So it's one of those where, and we'll get into Rose in just a second, it's one of those where it's a great showing for Manny, but I also felt like, man, this may not have been the proper matchup for your first go-around there. But it's a great platform for her to use to jump forward, potentially getting in line for a title shot.
Absolutely. And I mean, real quick, I see you got the Wikipedia open. Do we know exactly how? I got my phone open too. We need notes. Who cares?
I don't know, man. Is that phone open? Because as cracked as it is, I can't tell if that's the phone
or
this table.
Hey now.
Holy
hey now.
Smack, brother.
Come on now. Don't do that.
Did you hit that when Conor McGregor lost?
Don't do me like that.
Man,
maybe.
Oh man. Look, you've been throwing elbows and knees at that phone case right there, brother.
After
you
the
can upgrade, right?
After the 8th time I heard Conor was going to fight Michael Chandler, I just had to, toss that boy.
Done something with that phone 8 times. Go ahead.
Anyways, I believe Thug Rose, I wish I knew exactly her exact age. How old is she right now?
Thug Rose is 31 years old.
31. Okay, that's not too old, but
no, it's not.
But the same.
Manning is 33.
Yeah.
Okay, so she's older.
She's older, but I mean, for Thug Rose, I just remember too. I saw a picture online that she had busted that pinky finger of hers in the first round.
It was horrible.
That pinky was awful looking. Bad. And I mean, that's unfortunate. Maybe, you got to consider that when you're thinking about why the fight happened the way it did. But for Rose, I worry that, everyone who, watches MMA and in the world of MMA, 31 years old is really not that old. It's almost considered you're really still in your prime. But I feel like with Thug Rose, think about it. Think about all the wars we've seen Rose go through, how long she's just been so dominant and great. I think it's potentially a situation where she just might not have that longevity the way a lot of fighters do. 31 years old might actually be towards the end of her peak, or even towards her really just not being able to compete the same way she used to. And you kind of wonder where she goes from here. You don't does she still fight in this division? Does she move back down? Does she, how long? She's only had 2 losses, but it's 2 losses back to back. It's the same thing with Shevchenko. It's hard to see. I really want to see Thug Rose, though, her next fight. And I really want to see her get a win. Because I think if she loses her next fight, 3 straight losses in a row, you kind of have to think about maybe it's time, to send that horse out to the pasture.
Let me write this. Let me wrap this up right here because we still got to talk about the upcoming pay-per-view.
293, baby.
Thug Rose has lost 2 in a row. She's lost one to an on-fire fighter who's now at 6-0 in the UFC, 11 straight wins. Her last loss, the Carla Esparza, for the title, mind you, at UFC 274, was a split decision. Really could have went either way. Before that, she beat Zhang Weili twice, convincingly. The juggernaut we just saw dominate in her title defense. Mm-hmm. This idea that that Thug Rose, well, she might be at the end. No, it's a brand new division. You don't have your head coach Trevor Whitman there in your corner. We can talk about that in just next go around.
Yeah.
You're taking on a fighter who's on fire. Sometimes this stuff just happens, Griff. You lost a close decision that might have went your way. You go ahead and move up to a new division. You bust your hand in the first round. You don't got your head coach there. You're taking on somebody who's on a hot roll right now. Come on, man. To sit here and say that, she lost 2 in a row and she should be gone, there's a whole lot more that goes into it. Again, we do got to talk about the upcoming bout right here, so we can't spend too much time on this. But there's a lot there. So to suggest that Thug Rose might be at the end or this might be it for her, I'm not buying it whatsoever. But if she fights again, we'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see what adjustments she makes, and we'll go from there. Yep. But right now, I'm not going to say that she should be out to the pasture just yet.
You just pray we don't have another Tony Ferguson situation.
Well,
I'll leave it at that.
She's not being dominated like Tony Ferguson was. So
yet.
Yeah. But now here we are, UFC 293, down under in Australia.
Yes, sir.
Middleweight champion Israel Adesanya taking on Sean Strickland in the co-main event. We got TuiTuivasa taking on Alexander Volkanovski. This is a tremendous card with a lot of fighters from both Australia and New Zealand fighting there. There are 6 different New Zealand fighters there. You got a UFC middleweight title on the line. This is a good one, Griffey.
Is it though? Is it a good one?
It's a good. Don't do that.
Don't
do that. Don't you dare do that. We are talking about one of the biggest stars in mixed martial arts right now today on the title. 2 heavyweights who are known to go out there and put on a great showing. Tremendous fighters on the undercard who are known to go out there and give us a great show. Don't you do that.
I guess I'm just talking about the main event itself. We have Israel Adesanya coming back again. And yes, Adesanya, the Last Stylebender, he's must-see television when he comes on. It doesn't matter who he fights, but he's fighting Sean Strickland. Yeah. Sean Strickland versus Israel Adesanya is not a fight that where I really worry all that much about Adesanya, if I'm being honest.
Really? Were you worried about Anderson Silva when he first fought Chris Weidman? No, you weren't. Look what happened. Don't give me that nonsense. When you step inside that cage, every time that door closes, there's a chance.
What did Pierre do to Strickland?
And what did Izzy do to Pierre?
What did Pierre do to Izzy?
What did Izzy do to him both times? Almost finished him the first go-around, then finished him in the second one. Listen, man, you could do the whole fighter versus this, fighter versus that. That means nothing to what mixed martial arts. Nothing whatsoever. But to sit here and suggest, okay, think about this. You have that mindset. Imagine how many people out there have that mindset. Imagine how many people in Izzy's camp might have that mindset. Imagine how many people who Izzy talks to has that mindset. Send them tweets and Instagrams. Do you think that starts to creep into Izzy's mind? Maybe he starts looking at DDP, the Priest's punk ass, and he's like, well, his behind didn't want to take this fight, which he should have.
He's injured.
Don't give me this nonsense about you injured.
He's got some foot injury
in the first round and still fought for 4 more rounds. We've seen GSP towards groin, and what does Greg Jackson say? Well, hit him with it. Don't give me this nonsense. Oh, I'm injured. Kamaru Usman didn't have knees and still went out there defending his title 5 times.
Don't have knees.
He still doesn't have knees.
Still doesn't have knees.
What do you mean you don't have knees?
Still training.
No.
Still running on the hard pavement.
Hey, look, I understand, but he missed a golden opportunity. He had a golden ticket. Everything was right there. He didn't want it. You know why? He didn't want that smoke. But if Izzy starts looking too far ahead and underestimates, what does Sean Strickland have to lose? Nothing. And that's a dangerous opponent,
true.
Right?
That is
and
true.
You know that, Griff.
Yep.
Same thing if you're taking on the game. A team that has nothing to lose, they're dangerous. All Strickland has to do is go out there and not let the moment get to him, like he did with Jared Cannonier when he fought Izzy. We know Izzy's going to show up and do his thing. But if he looks anywhere past Strickland is not no slouch. He's a tough as nails guy. Yeah, sure, maybe he's a middle of the pack, not necessarily elite fighter. But those are the ones that creep up to you and catch you at the wrong time. Remember Michael Bisping against Luke Rockhold? Luke Rockhold beats Chris Weidman. Oh, my God, Luke, good on the ground, great striking, tremendous left kick, got the jawline and the looks to be a model. And then Michael Bisping coming in the first side of the fence and knocks his ass out.
Amen.
So don't give me this nonsense about, oh, well, I don't know, I'm not taking on. No, every time you step in there in the UFC as the champion, you are taking on one of the tough, and it's easy to climb the mountain. It's harder to stay on top and defend it.
It is. It really is. I'm not trying to underestimate Sean Strickland. It's just from all the opponents we've seen Israel Adesanya go up against, Sean Strickland, just comparing him to all those other fighters, it's just not a fight where I see this as a fight where Adesanya is just marking it down. Izzy's definitely not overlooking him. Izzy's going to want to put on a performance, especially in front of the Sydney, Australia crowd. But I think for Izzy, he's kind of looking at this fight like, it's going right with my game plan. Keep notching these victories. Keep notching these accomplishments at middleweight, because we are coming for somebody who's no longer fighting in the UFC. We're coming for that number one spot, the greatest middleweight of all time. We're coming for silver. We're coming for the Spider. You know, we're also coming for Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping, horribly underrated. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves. But
he passed Michael Bisping like 3 fights ago.
Michael Bisping, this man's got like the record for like most wins. Michael Bisping did his thing when he was fighting at middleweight.
He's phenomenal.
With one eyeball too at that.
Yes, and he's a phenomenal fighter, but Izzy passed him a long time ago.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm saying with him, long time ago. And that's why I'm saying, that's what I'm saying though. Long time ago. That's what I'm saying though. Like he's trying to get Silva. He's trying to catch up. I think he's like, in all the record books, he's like 3 victories behind Michael Bisping, number one, for the most wins at middleweight. Michael Bisping's number one with like 16. Silva's second. I forget how much he has, but Izzy's like 3 fights away from that. He's 3 fights from passing Silva in a couple of different records. And that's why I think the fight with Dricus du Plessis, that's still on the table. That's more than likely going to happen because he wants to stay at the division. We were talking and, speculating he might move up to light heavyweight, go fight Piera again, do all this crazy stuff. That's exciting. But I think Adesanya really values the fact that, what can you do in your own division and how long can you dominate a division? And he knows that he's not far off from just notching a couple more, just get a couple more victories. I'm going to get into this in a second. I'm going to get into the last point after. I want to hear your point, then I want to get into this. But he's only a few fights away. He's going to stay here. I think for him and Sean Strickland, let's just hope Sean Strickland makes it entertaining. I hope we don't see him get knocked the absolute frick out in the first round like we saw him against Piera.
That's a win-win. If he gets knocked out in the first round, that's a highlight reel finish that we'll play on loops going forward. Izzy Adesanya's highlight reel, that will be a part of it forever. Just like when Michael Bisping got knocked out by Dan Henderson. That's going to be in infamy forever. But Joanna Jędrzejczyk was 1 fight away from tying Ronda Rousey's title defense streak. Then someone named Thug Rose came along and defeated her. Amanda Nunes was 1 victory away from going ahead and notching her and cementing herself. Juliana Pena came around. We can go on and on down this list. When you start looking ahead, what did Bruce Lee say in Enter the Dragon? Don't focus on the finger or you will miss all of that heavenly glow. And then he went out there. Do you want that to happen with Sean Strickland? Do you want Izzy to be so close to all these records? He's looking at that. He's looking at the Precies. He's looking at legacy. That Sean Strickland comes in and says, hey, I'm just some podunk former racist son of a bitch who's going to come in here and knock you the hell out. That's part of his history, okay? I'm not pointing out. I'm not trying to down. I've only brought it up once. Yeah, he's admitted, hey, that was his former life. He has changed. Does show that some people can change with work, although some people will say, how much has he really changed? But nonetheless, it is what it is. All right, we're not here for your views on stuff. We're here to watch you fight.
Former racist is a wild title. It's a wild thing to say.
It's something. Mm-hmm. It is something. Try to stay away from it, but
try to stay away from it. Some
punk ass South African and some punk ass from Oregon always want to bring it in when their fights come around.
Always want to bring it.
But when you start looking ahead too much, that's when you get upsetted.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I'm rooting for Izzy.
Of course.
Obvious reasons, but Izzy's one of the greatest of all time. I'm rooting for Izzy. Mm-hmm. I'm picking Israel Adesanya.
Of course.
All I'm saying is that no matter what, you can never look too far ahead of a fighter. Oh, I'm not worried about this. Not granted, he go in there and knock him out in the first round, and I look stupid for saying that you don't overlook anybody. But it's true. You don't overlook anybody. Because that dude's hungry to come up there. Everyone's hungry to take out the champ.
Yeah.
Can the champ keep that hunger? That's why the lion is the king of the jungle. He ain't the fastest, he ain't the strongest. It's his will and determination to not give up that makes him the king of the jungle. Can Izzy and other champions keep that hunger? GSP and John Jones have shown and said It's hard to do. What did Marvin Hagler say? Last thing. It's hard to run 5 miles waking up in silk sheets.
Silk sheets. Well, after this will be his 11th consecutive title fight. The man has known nothing but fighting for gold for a while now.
Long time.
I think, Izzy definitely, you sure as hell Izzy should not be looking ahead, but we as fans and us as commentators, I feel like it's fun. We should. And what now, what I'm excited about, what I'm so excited is that the fact that I see Izzy staying at middleweight, really continuing to rack off these wins, I love it because it sets up this perfect little scenario. All right, we go in here, we fight Strickland. He's out, he's knocked out, he can't wake up. All right, done with him. Dricus du Plessis. Let's get that done. The grudge match, it makes numbers, it makes money. All right, get that one done. Another win. The third fight, it's got to be nobody else. It's going to potentially, it has to be Khamzat Chimaev. If he gets this victory over Paulo Costa, that beautiful man from Brazil,
secret juice.
with that juicy juice. If he comes in there and he gets that victory a little later down the year in October, you're setting it up perfectly to where we finally reach the pinnacle of this Khamzat Chimaev story arc, where he's finally going and competing for a world title.
He's finally going to accept the fight. Yay. He's finally going to accept the fight.
Hey,
I'm pretty sure they've offered him 42 fights, and he hasn't accepted any of them.
The man is having problems fighting people, yet he goes on the mic and he's saying, kill everybody, I kill everybody. Well, let's see it then, baby. Let's see you go after the Stylebender, him and Khamzat Chimaev.
Man, I got a whole theory on that. Just because you got an accent when you say kill everybody, don't mean that you this big time star. No,
You're saying he's not a star?
No, he's a huge star. But let's also be honest. The dude last fought in like 2012, okay? He hasn't fought in a long time. I'm exaggerating here. He beat Kevin Holland, but even that one was iffy and whatnot in that one. He's just one of those where he's a big star, but he doesn't fight as often. But if they do get to that, they all got to do what they got to do. He's got to beat Paulo Costa. He has to do what he has to do, beating the racism out of the UFC.
Yeah.
With
Yes,
Sean Strickland and du Plessis. And once he does that, he takes on the lone wolf. Boom! Another head on his mantle, right up there.
Put that wolf head right there on my wall,
Call him
right
Van
on my
Helsing
mantle.
after that.
You said what?
Call him Van Helsing.
Van Helsing.
Because he beat the wolf.
Yeah.
Van Helsing.
Vampires and all
was that good enough for you to watch?
No, I've seen it. I saw it.
Why are you saying like it wasn't good? Van Helsing wasn't good?
Are you talking about the one? What was that?
Wolverine taking on vampires and werewolves?
It's not really Wolverine.
There's only one Wolverine, and it is him. It is Hugh Jackman.
It is Hugh Jackman.
He is him.
That movie's old. That movie's like early 2000s,
First off, sir, some things are timeless classes, okay? Culturize yourself, okay? You big lug nut.
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself. Get it right. Get it right. And we're going to get it right with UFC 293. It is going to be phenomenal. Down under. Plenty of answers. We're going to get an idea of what's ahead in the future. And we got some great fights coming up later in the year. So it's going to be a lot of fun as we continue to talk about these fights and continue to entertain you guys. So thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Main Event right here on Franchise Sports Media. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, I'm Kalani Lua.
I'm Griffin Kemp.
Come back again, fight fans.
Peace.